This video will review the steps to create a tube fin heat exchanger in CoilDesigner. First, click on the new icon in the top left-hand menu. The new coil wizard will appear. Select the tube fin heat exchanger and then Next. This window allows you to specify the solver type and number of segments. We'll keep the fast solver and keep the number of segments as the default of 10. The tube configuration parameters window is next. This is where you can specify the overall coil geometry. Notice that there are multiple configurations available. You'll need to enter the number of tubes per bank as well as the number of tube banks. Then specify the overall tube dimensions. Notice that there is a list of industry standard tube diameters available by clicking on the blue dots. CoilDesigner is able to model both smooth and enhanced or rifled tubes. If you model enhanced tubes, use the microfin geometry link to understand the required parameter inputs. The next three tabs for fin geometry, working fluids, and correlations are the same as for the microchannel new coil wizard. For details on setting up these tabs, please see our microchannel tutorial or the help file. Click Finish. The coil wizard is now complete and you'll see the tube end view and the segments in the main viewing pane. The circles on the right-hand side represent tubes going into the screen. Airflow over the coil is indicated by the blue arrows on the left-hand side. This provides a reference orientation for your heat exchanger. The coil circuitry needs to be defined, and you can do so using a series of mouse clicks. If I click on a tube and then another, a solid line appears. This solid line represents a U-bend on the near side of the coil, coming out of the screen. If I click on a tube, hold the Shift key, and then click on a second tube, a dotted line appears, representing a U-bend on the far side of the coil. You can model as many tube splits and merges as you like. This is limited only by computer memory. You can also plug a tube to indicate that it is not actually present in the coil circuitry. In addition to the mouse click approach, you can also use the Tube Connections window in the bottom right. An important element to specify is the coil inlets and outlets. You can do this by right-clicking on the tube and selecting either inlet or outlet. You can have as many inlets and as many circuits as you'd like. Once inputs are identified, their parameters need to be defined. Go to the Inlet-Outlet Streams tab and double-click on an inlet. Select the type of specification and enter the known values. Note that while outlet values will appear here, you do not need to specify them. The program will solve for outlet conditions given other program inputs and settings. CoilDesigner uses a finite volume approach to solve for heat exchanger properties and characteristics. On the left-hand side of the screen is a series of boxes representing each volume or segment along the length of the tube. Recall that we specified 10 segments in the new coil wizard, so we have 10 boxes along the length of each of our first row of tubes. Airflow properties can be specified for each segment across the face of the coil, which essentially allows for the ability to account for 2D air maldistribution. Alternatively, you can specify uniform airflow. Let's take a quick look at a previously developed sample coil available with the program. The circuitry for this coil has already been set and all inlet and airside parameters have been specified. The coil is now ready and can be run simply by clicking on the green arrow. Results are generated quickly and are displayed across multiple tabs, and results can also be exported to Excel.